6. The Nokia 5 though sits in the middle, but with a lower price, is it actually the better deal? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and this is our Nokia 5 review. The Nokia 5 is made of solid aluminum, unlike the plastic build of the Nokia 3. Ours came in a matte black finish. With rounded edges and a curved back, it gives a smoother vibe than the sharp-edged Nokia 6. That said, the build isn't too unique looking. The antenna bands were pretty well hidden though, and blended with the design of the phone. There's a little bit of a camera bump, which might offend some people. We appreciate that Nokia has included a front-mounted fingerprint sensor that acts as a home key. It's surrounded by two well-labeled touch keys for navigation, which are backlit. It's not the fastest fingerprint reader in the world, but it's always on so you can wake up your phone. You might be doing this often to check in, as there is no notification LED on this device. The 16 gigs of internal storage is pretty tiny, but it's expandable with microSD if you start to run out of space. Just like its brothers, on the Nokia 5 there is no dust or water resistance. Also, all three of the Nokia phones use micro USB ports, and we'd rather see USB Type-C on a 2017 device. The Nokia 5 has a single speaker at the bottom, which scored a good rating in loudness tests. It's also distortion-free at max volume, though it's still a step down from the Nokia 6's stereo speakers. With a 3.5mm jack, you can easily plug in headphones instead and even listen to the built-in FM radio. The Nokia 5 has a 5.2-inch LCD screen covered by Gorilla Glass. It's pretty bright, but the blacks aren't too dark, so contrast ratio isn't the best. Sunlight legibility is above average, pretty good for an LCD. Now, this display runs at a 720p resolution, which is not too bad for your day-to-day use, but we've seen better in this price range. Just like the Nokia 6, the Nokia 5 runs on an octa-core Snapdragon 430 chipset. It does have less RAM though, it's 2 gigs here instead of 3. In benchmark tests, it performed well. It did even better than the Nokia 6 in some cases due to its less demanding screen resolution, and it was on par with other mid-range competitors. In normal use it was good, the occasional hiccups were really rare, and games ran decently. The 3000 mAh battery is another feature shared between the Nokia 5 and 6, though the battery performance is actually better on the 5. It got very good results in all of our tests. The only place it fell behind a little bit was in call time, but it was still pretty solid. Charging is pretty slow though. We got about 1/4 of the battery in 30 minutes. The Nokia 5 runs on Android 7.1 Nougat with a Nokia overlay. The package is the same as the Nokia 3 and 6, with the system app icons in blue. It's not too customizable. There's just one icon pack and style available. You can swipe up for an app drawer, but there's no option to have everything on the home screen. The software is pretty basic, with no real proprietary features. Most of the functionality is left to Google's default app package. The Nokia 5 has a 13-megapixel main cam with an f2.0 aperture. Pictures are nice, sharp, and detailed. There's a little bit of visible noise, but the colors are really balanced, much better than the dull-looking shots from the Nokia 6. We do wish the dynamic range was wider, but the HDR mode actually really helps. The 8-megapixel selfie cam has autofocus, a feature hard to find in this price range. It has a pretty wide-angle lens, useful for fitting your friends in the shot. Pictures were pretty sharp and detailed, and beautification mode wasn't too overdone. The Nokia 5 records video at 1080p at 30 frames per second. There's no 60 FPS option. Videos have a lot of detail and textures look natural. Footage is a bit soft, and colors aren't too vibrant, but overall the video quality is quite good. So, at the end of the day, the Nokia 5 is a decent phone, but is it a better deal than the Nokia 6? With the 6, you get a higher res screen, more internal memory, stereo speakers, and battery charging is a bit faster. But with the Nokia 5 you get a longer battery life,